my friends. My name is Sophie Blackall and I'm coming to you from Brooklyn. I am the illustrator of a whole lot of books, actually none of these at all, but I am the illustrator of this book, Ivy and Bean, One Big Happy Family, written by my friend Annie Barrows and published by Chronicle Books. Ivy and Bean are very good friends. This is Bean and this is Ivy. They weren't always friends, but they did become very good friends, just like Annie and I. We are very good friends, even though we live on either sides of the country and we don't get to spend a whole lot of time together. A lot of friends are not getting to spend a whole lot of time together right now for all sorts of reasons. Partly because they don't want to make each other sick. Ivy and Bean didn't want to make each other sick at one time. Bean was a little worried she might make Ivy sick. Ivy was fine because she was just happy with the book. Bean is not all that cracked up about reading, so she just thought she would wear a hazmat suit, which was fine until she got hungry, so that didn't work out. Then she thought she would make herself a force field of hula hoops, which was great, but got kind of exhausting after a while. Then she got the perfect solution. It worked out really well. She slathered herself with lard, which was really just fantastic. Worked beautifully, but then all the supermarkets are out of lard, so don't try this at home. But you know what? I think Ivy was onto something with the books. It's really good to read a story if you're bored generally, but if you're at home, and to share a story with a friend. So I thought that's what we could do right now. I'm going to read you a little bit of Annie's Ivy and Bean, One Big Happy Family that I did the drawing for. And it goes like this. Ready? Okay. Important people, important gorillas. My important people, wrote Bean at the top of her paper. Phew, 17 letters, time for a break. Bean, said Miss Aruba Tate, do you need help? I'm resting, explained Bean. Nobody else is resting, Vanessa said. Her table was next door to Bean's. She was already drawing pictures of her important people. Thank you, Vanessa, said Miss Aruba Tate in a way that really meant stop talking. Then she said Bean in a way that really meant get to work. Bean sighed and picked up her pencil. My important people. Okie dokie, line 'em up. She drew her mum. She drew her mum eating a whole cake by herself. Her mum liked cake. Mum, she wrote. Then she drew her dad with a wooden spoon. There's Dad. He was making more cake for her mum. Dad, she wrote. Bean scrunched her older sister Nancy down in a corner. She drew some flies buzzing around her head. Nancy, she wrote. Bean looked around the classroom. Everyone was drawing like crazy. Eric was drawing so hard his tongue was hanging out. Margalie had made frames around each of her important people. Bean wished she'd thought of that. She went back to drawing. Grandma, Grandpa, other Grandpa, 2 uncles, 3 aunts, 4 cousins, 1 cousin who wasn't a real cousin, but Bean liked him a lot anyway. He had a pet alligator. Bean put the alligator in there too. Cool. Now Ivy. You should be finishing up, friends, said Miss Aruba Tate. I haven't put in my cousins yet, yelled Emma. I haven't even finished my brothers and sisters, yelled Vanessa. Everyone scrabbled as fast as they could. Bean peeked over at Ivy's paper to see if she had included Bean. She had. Bean peeked some more. Ivy had drawn her mum, her grandma, her aunt, Bean, Abraham Lincoln, Mary Anning, Boudica, and a gorilla. Wow, thought Bean. Abraham Lincoln. Bean wanted to copycat, but she didn't. She drew Miss Aruba Tate instead. Miss Aruba Tate was as good as Abraham Lincoln any day. When they were done, Miss Aruba Tate pinned their important people on the art wall. She was decorating for open house. Open house was when the grown-ups came to school to see what their kids had been doing all year, and Miss Aruba Tate, she said she wanted the classroom to look fantabulous. Everyone helped. Doucet and Drew picked fuzzballs out of the carpet. Ivy turned all the books the right way on the bookshelf. Emma and Margalie swept the floor. Bean blew the extra glitter down the heater vent. It's very important. Eric made sure there was no yucky old food in the lunchbox cubbies. Zuzu scraped glue off the tables with her fingernails. Vanessa said she was cleaning pencil boxes, but really she was standing at the art wall checking out everyone's important people. Ivy, she called, you can't have a gorilla be one of your important people. Ivy sat back on her heels. Why not? Because a gorilla isn't a person, said Vanessa. You're supposed to draw people in your family. Gorillas are in our family, said Ivy. People and gorillas are related. Yeah, said Bean. Look at Tarzan. But that's not what it's supposed to be, Vanessa argued. You're supposed to draw people like your brothers and sisters. Look at mine. She pointed to her important people. There were 2 brothers and 3 sisters arranged in order of importance. You're not supposed to draw gorillas or Abraham Lincoln. If there was one thing Bean couldn't stand, it was a bossy buttons. You're just jealous because you didn't think of Abraham Lincoln or a gorilla. I am not, snapped Vanessa. I already have lots of important people right in my real family. Vanessa and Bean, said Miss Aruba Tate, why don't you agree to disagree and move away from each other? Ivy's important people can be anyone or any gorilla she chooses. See, said Bean to Vanessa. Bean, said Miss Aruba Tate, will you help me make a sign that says Our Art Gallery? I'll write out the words for you to copy. Sure, Miss Aruba Tate, said Bean. She tried not to smile ha-ha at Vanessa, but she couldn't help it. Vanessa stomped away. By the time the bell rang, the 2nd graders were worn to a nubbin. Good work, friends, said Mrs. Aruba Tate, looking around. This classroom looks fantabulous. It did too. I'm beat, said Eric as he came out into the breezeway. He fell onto a bench. I'm bushed, said Doucet. He fell onto the bench too. I'm fainting, said Zuzu. She fainted onto a planter. I'm pooped, said Bean. She crumpled to her knees in the middle of the breezeway. I have to crawl home. Me too, said Ivy, crumpling alongside Bean. I've never cleaned this hard in my life. That's because you're an only child, said Vanessa's voice high above them. I have to clean all the time at home. And cook too, and take care of my brothers and sisters, so I'm used to it. She gave a big sigh. Only children never do any work. That's why they're usually spoiled. Bean could have bitten Vanessa on the ankle, but she didn't. Ivy's not spoiled, she said. I know this kid who's totally spoiled, said Eric. If you don't do what he says, he screams. My cousin Ryan is so spoiled, said Zuzu. She won't let you play with anything. She'll bring out one old toy, and that's all you can play with. She hides everything else and says she lost it. My brother knows this guy who's so spoiled he yells at his mum, said Doucet. He yells, go get me a pizza right now. And she does, says Eric. Doucet nodded. Wow, said Eric. I'd get sent to my room for 100 years. Sometimes, said Doucet, he yells so much his mum lets him drive the car. No way, said Bean. Yes way, Doucet nodded. That's nutso, said Bean. She looked up at Vanessa. Ivy isn't like that. I didn't say she was, Vanessa argued. I just said that only children are usually spoiled. Well, Ivy's not, said Bean. Are you, Ivy? Ivy rolled over onto her back and looked up at Vanessa. Well, suddenly her arms shivered. Bean frowned. I think I might be, Ivy said in a squeaky voice. Now her legs quivered. I feel it coming on right now. Bean started smiling. Oh no, she's spoiling. It's happening. Here it comes. Ivy wiggled all over. I can't help it. Try to hold it in, called Eric. Get me a pizza, yelled Ivy, or else! And that's the beginning of Ivy and Bean, one big happy